All right. Well, I see 7:02 on my clock, so I think that's probably good enough. Let's go ahead and jump in. We don't want to hold anybody any later than we have to. So, my name's Chris Foster. I am the treasurer and the webmaster on the board of directors for Prince William County Girls Softball Little League. Just want to say on behalf of the board, really appreciate everybody's time tonight. We know everybody's very busy. Everybody's time is very valuable, so we really do appreciate people making some time to join and listen to us for a little bit tonight. Hopefully, ask some questions as well, that sort of thing. Did want to do a quick introduction of some of the other current board members that are on the call. We have Lindsay Hanner, our marketing coordinator, Melanie Shipley, our information officer, Megan Haney, our safety officer, Kathy Brown, our secretary, Chris Davis, our chief umpire, Robin Davis, our scheduling coordinator, Ralph Sinnott, our president, and Jeff Willard, our registration coordinator. And I apologize if there's other board members on that I don't see on the video. But we thanks again for everybody coming tonight. We wanted to kind of let people know some of the struggles that we've had over the last couple of years, and just make sure that people understand that there's volunteer opportunities out here. We have this wonderful league. I think most of the people on the call, if not everybody, understands that. We really want to make sure that people are aware that these opportunities are out there, and try to get folks, engaged. And, I also see our vice president actually just logged in as well, Chuck Farhat. So thanks, Chuck, for coming on. And so, before we jump into our little spiel that we want to give everybody, I'm going to turn it over to Melanie Shipley, our information officer, and she's just going to give you some, I don't want to say ground rules, but just some advice on if you guys have questions, kind of how that will work on the Zoom meeting.
Thank you, Chris. So as Chris said, I'm Melanie Shipley. I handle the information officer. So if there's emails coming to info, I'm usually the one that addresses those. We are going to try and keep everybody muted just to keep it to be a better presentation, but we will have an opportunity at the end for unmute. In the interim, I am monitoring the chat box. So if you would like to put a question in the chat box, you can either address it to everybody in the meeting, or you can address it directly to me, and we will answer as many questions as possible through the chat as well throughout the presentation. You'll be hearing from several different board members tonight. Kathy Brown's also on. I know she was one of the board members I don't know that got introduced, so she's our secretary. But there'll be several of us that speak tonight and provide some additional insight, and we're all available for questions as well. So if you're interested in anything, if you just want to learn more, please don't let the unknown stop you from volunteering. We are all here to help you answer any questions. We really hope that you find the information today worthwhile, and that you come join our team. So Chris, I'll turn it back over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Melanie. So, just to give a quick introduction on why we're here, you guys, you all are here. You saw the link on the email. So, you probably at least had a chance to read the email. But just want to reiterate some of those points there. What we're here is over the last 5 years with the league, we've had a smaller and smaller group of volunteers that are running the league from both a board of directors standpoint and also an umpire standpoint, and folks in like the snack shacks and some of those other volunteer opportunities. I will say we always every year get terrific volunteering from the coaches, and the coaches are really the core of the league. So we can't express more appreciation for folks that are out there every week with the kids, teaching them softball. I mean, that's really what makes this league run. But we did want to bring up really the fact that it gets harder and harder to run such a large league, such an important league for the county, with a smaller and smaller group of folks that are kind of doing that central management. And that's what we wanted to talk about today. I know when I joined the board, this is going back about 6 years ago or so now. I have an IT background. I noticed some of the scores weren't being updated on the website, and I just said, hey, do you guys need help from the IT side? And someone said, oh my gosh, yes, please come to this meeting. And then I realized there were all these opportunities available, and I had no idea that they were out there. And so that's what we're trying to do tonight, is really just kind of let you guys know where we stand as a league, how it works to become a board member, what that process looks like, the annual meeting and the elections that happen next week, you know, and what those different roles are and what the time commitments are, and the, you know, the kind of folks that would be good for these positions. Which, you know, I'll be honest, none of this stuff is rocket science. It's, you know, it's doing very basic, you know, communication, collaboration with folks. So really anybody can do it. There are different time commitments, though. Some of the time commitments are very small. We'll go over, you know, all of those roles that are open here in just a second. So, but that's what we're here today. You know, that's what we're going to talk about. So let me just jump in. Again, we don't want to hold anybody longer than we have to.
Hey,
So,
Chris, can you hear me?
yep, I got you, Ralph.
So my screen went blank, so I'm trying to get back in again so I can see it. So just stall for a minute.
Yeah, no problem. So you guys can see here on the screen, we have an agenda here, just, you know, quick dirty what we're going to be talking about today. You know, Ralph is our president, you just heard. He's going to be giving a little bit of background on the league and also talking about that annual meeting that we're going to have next week. Then we're going to go through, Chris Davis, our chief umpire, is going to go through some of those board of director positions, as well as some of those other volunteer operations. And then, you know, any questions that anybody has, you know, we're here to answer those. So Ralph,
Chris,
yeah, go ahead.
sorry, I just want to clarify. The meeting is actually November 10th. So it's not next week, but it is the week after. More information is out on our league website, but the meeting is November 10th at Tyler Elementary School. It will be held in the cafeteria. So,
Actually, that's been changed to the library today,
oh,
just so
okay.
everybody knows. Sorry.
So November 10th in the library at Tyler Elementary.
All
Awesome.
right,
Well,
I'm back.
thank you, Melanie. I could have sworn it was next week, so I really appreciate that. So, Ralph, are you good? Do you see the screen here? Are you good to take
Yeah,
over?
I'm back. I'm back.
All right, take it away.
All right, so thanks everybody for joining. So I don't live in a shack. I'm actually coming to you live from the snack shack at Tyler. I do a lot of things for the league, but I also coach, and that's one of the things that's going on tonight. So just to provide you guys a little bit of background, we were formed in 2010 as a combination of the girls from Gainesville District Little League, which is no longer in existence, and Coles Little League, and put together our first season in the spring of 2010. We had 75 girls and I believe 5 board members. I joined the board in the fall of 2010 when Gainesville District Little League said they didn't want girls anymore and my daughter was playing baseball there. So we came and said, well, we're going to give softball a shot. And I joined then. So I've been here ever since. In 2012, I was elected president and I've been doing this ever since. Our league is, we serve the girls in the county from 4 to 16 to try to help them learn the game of softball, love the game of softball, and get better at their own pace, at their own, so that we're not travel. We don't, we're not travel. We are a league that's here to help cultivate the love of softball for the girls. We help them get better if they want, but we allow them to have fun. This past fall, we actually had our largest registration ever for fall with 256 players, and I believe we have 22 teams. In the spring, we usually average between 3 and 325. We also have a number of girls that have gone on, that have come out of the league, that have gone on. They're playing high school ball now. Some are playing college level ball, and we have a number of girls that are also playing at the travel level. Every year we normally send teams to the international tournament. The past 2 years, because of COVID, we just didn't feel we could do it justice, so we haven't done that. But in 2019, we actually hosted the Virginia State 9 and 10-year-old tournament at Valley View Park, which was, for those of you who've been around, that was a pretty awesome experience. We have umpires that have gone on to umpire in the state tournaments. We have them at regional level, and we've also had one of our umpires actually umpire a Little League World Series. We have 2 of them that are at the regional level, and their next step is the World Series. But the important thing to note for everybody is that we're 100% volunteer run. And the reason we're doing this is we need your help to fill some of the holes. For those of you that have been around a while or lived in the Haymarket, Gainesville area, at Tyler Elementary School, this used to be Grizzlies football stadium. And for years on Google Maps, it said Grizzlies football. And when we first started out here, we had a football field running right down center field and right in left field of our existing softball fields. Through a lot of political wrangling and, you know, just telling them that it's time to be fair to the girls, we were able to physically take over this property. And I'm sure that some of you, as time has gone on, have seen the improvement. So we are fully fenced now. We have batting cages that were donated by a local builder. We have lights that we fundraised for and did a community and then a parks and recreation, like a multi-use agreement where we donated, they came up with the rest of the money. And now, believe it or not, we are the only diamond facility in the county that actually has LED lighting. Everybody else has the other. So we have the fancy bright lights. And then something that's also to note is we actually have a lighted parking lot now. So and this is all done through volunteer efforts, lobbying, everybody going out, grassroots, knocking on doors, fundraising to be able to make this happen. And probably the last thing that everybody's probably noticed is with the construction that's going on over behind us, we're actually able to get them to repave the road coming into the backfield here, which was a huge win for us also. So with that said, Chris, next slide. So our annual meeting will be here at Tyler Elementary School. It's been moved to the library because the Boy Scouts had a previous engagement we didn't know about. So it will be in the library at 7 o'clock here at Tyler Elementary School on the Wednesday, the 10th. Anybody that has a child that plays in the league, that is interested, has a grandmother or grandfather or somebody, anybody that is related to somebody that plays for our league, if that parent, grandparent, older child wants to get involved, we please encourage you all to get involved. I mean, we can teach people how to umpire. We can teach people how to do everything. Also at that meeting, we'll also be letting everybody know what our financial status is and the health of the league so that everybody knows. And then at that point, we'll have board elections. So with that being said, I personally want to thank each and every one of you. I've been involved in this league since the very, very beginning, and we need some help, you know, and some of this isn't time consuming. A few of the positions we need are time consuming, but you know, when it comes right down to it, it's all for our young ladies. And I think that's the most important thing. We get the boys get everything because they're boys and the girls don't. And we're out to change that. So we want, you know, our girls need to be treated as equals. And that's what our mission is to give them the best experience possible. We just need your help to do that. So with that said, I'll turn it back to Chris.
Thanks, Ralph. Well said. So what I'll do really quick before I give it over to our chief umpire, Chris Davis, to go through some of the specific needs, wanted to bring up, it's probably a little bit of an eye chart depending on you know, how big a screen you're looking at there. But this is a list of the board positions that we try to fill in the league. There's 21 total positions. If you have a big enough screen, you'll see some of those positions are in bold. What those positions are, those are the positions that are required by Little League that you have to fill to have a league. The other positions are very much needed. Like you'll see, like registration director, things. I mean, they're also very much needed. But the ones in bold are what Little League says you have to have these filled by people before you can actually have a Little League go. And you'll see we have the positions listed on the left, and on the right, we have incumbent positions. And I want to be very clear what that means. All that means is that those are current board members that are serving in that position that have said they want to stay on or they will stay on for next year. That does not mean that those positions are not open and not available for people if you want to help out in one of those positions. For example, like I said, I'm the webmaster. If somebody comes and says, hey, I have an IT background, I really would like to do that. That's okay. There's a lot of gaps where, I can go and spend my time and fill. So don't worry. This isn't a campaign you have to put on. There's not going to be a debate or anything like that. There's a lot of, no matter if we have 2 people for every position, there's still more we can do as a league. There's really kind of a minimum amount that we have to do. And quite frankly, we're kind of getting to that level, just of the minimum we can do to keep things going with a couple handfuls of board members. Even if we fill up all 21 positions, we could have room for another 20 folks. And that just makes the league better and better, and just makes for less of a burden for any one member to have to do it. So when you look at this list again, these are just folks that have said, hey, I'm in that position and I'll be here next year, so you can keep me there if you like. But again, don't let that dissuade you from asking about one of those positions if you're interested, or if you feel like you could serve a value to the league in one of those positions. With that, we're going to go through a couple of these. Chris Davis is going to talk about them, and we are only looking at the positions that are unfilled right now, and that's just because, again, we don't want to hold everyone here, for all night long. So we want to try to do this as efficiently as possible. But again, can't stress enough, don't make this thing, don't look at this and say, okay, that position's filled, then, I can't do that. That's not at all the case. All the board members are very dynamic. We're very open to new help, and, no one's going to try to stop somebody that's interested in the position from coming forward and trying to help out. So with that, we'll go on to our first open position. And Chris, if you want to take it over.
Let me interrupt real quick. I just got a good question I think would be a good place to answer it here. If somebody volunteers for a board position, can they still be a coach? So the answer is absolutely. We have a lot of board members who are also coaches. There is one position, which I'm going to defer to Chris Davis. There's one position that does prevent them from being a head coach, but I will defer that question to Chris. But plenty of people are coaches and help with the board as well. So we welcome everybody, please.
Cool. All right. Let me jump in here. So again, my name is Chris Davis. I am the umpire in chief for the league. I've seen probably many of you out at the fields, depending on how old your daughters are, and hope to see all of you in the near future. But we're going to take some time. We're going to run through these positions. I'm going to just give a little thumbnails on the screen, and I'll just add a little bit to it. The first here is the coaching coordinator. I would term this as a pretty critical position. When you boil it down, the coaching coordinator takes the information that we discuss in the board meetings and gets it out to the coaches. And the reverse flow also talks to the coaches, finds out what's going on in their games and practices, finds those issues, and brings them back to the board so that we can get those fixed. So the bullets here, organization and coordinating of the coach-related topics. We do ask them we have a coaches meeting, both for spring and fall season. And the coaching coordinator generally organizes that, depending on location and time and topics to be covered. They assist in running the skills assessment and the draft, which again happens once per spring and fall season. Addresses the coaches' concerns throughout the season and liaisons with the board. Time commitment, figure 1 to 2 hours a week. And once the season gets rolling, the primary responsibility is that liaison position, bringing the information from the coaches to the board and back and forth. There is, at the beginning of each season, there is a time commitment required. The coaches meeting is usually a half-day event, and draft is usually a full-day event. And the draft, the draft evening usually happens, one night. So those are, as we get the season rolling, it takes a little bit more time. But it's not difficult. Basically we need someone there. In fact, and it works better if this person is a coach and is part of that club, so to speak, and can make those connections back and forth.
Chris, can I chime in for a second?
Could I stop you?
Yes.
Go, buddy.
So with the coaching coordinator position, the coaches meeting, all that stuff is already written and in place. Yep. All it is disseminating the information. So we don't have to reinvent the wheel. There's an agenda, a layout, everything that needs to be done, from A to Z, as far as that goes. From the draft, everything is done. is already laid out. The procedures are all in place. You're just basically a moderator. So I just want to be clear, none of this needs to be written, rewritten. Excuse me. There's mold in the shed, I think. But the one thing that's not on here is you actually need to help recruit coaches.
Yes.
So that's
absolutely. All those events that we talked about, the procedures already exist. We just need someone to coordinate it, and recruiting coaches, finding those people. Now, we've been able to fill those positions, but someone who can advocate for the coaches and get folks in is a good piece of this. Next slide. Okay, the player agent. So as Mel mentioned earlier, this is the one board of director position that by rule cannot be a coach. And the reason is this person is the player's agent. They advocate for the players. They make sure everything is benefiting the players, the girls, and that everything is fair as far as they go. They help manage the skills assessment with lots of assistance. They advocate for the players during the draft and in case of any conflicts. And as we mentioned, they aren't able to be a head coach. The main thing that once the season gets rolling, the player agent is in charge of the player pool. And 30-second description of the player pool. These are girls that decide they want to be able to play on other teams in other games if a team comes up short. And for what I hope is obvious reasons, the coaches are not really allowed to manage that. So an independent person, the player agent, manages that list. And when a coach needs a player, they contact the player agent and they get that taken care of. Time commitment, it's a day long at skills assessment and a few hours for the draft. And then once the season gets rolling, it's mostly managing that player pool. Less than an hour a week after that. It's usually a few phone calls and a few emails once the season gets rolling. All right, scheduling coordinator. Man, this is a little tiny description for quite a job. Okay. All you have to do as scheduling coordinator is develop and maintain the practice and game schedule for all the teams in the league. Time commitment on this is about 2 to 4 hours a week prior to the season and 1 to 2 during the season. It's an ongoing process. I'm going to advocate for the current scheduler, who's my wife. And the reason that a lot of work goes into it is the current schedule. We work really hard to make sure those of you that are volunteering as head coaches and so forth can fit your games and practices around your other commitments. One of the primary ones being the baseball schedule. So, when the season gets started, the coaches will present, here's what we're doing, here's my conflicts, and the scheduler can work to arrange all that. It is a little bit like building a jigsaw puzzle without the box cover, but it's really important, and you can make it as simple or as difficult as you like. If you want to accommodate everybody's requests, you can do that. If you want to just set it up as a Excel spreadsheet and assign everything out, we can do that too. We could talk about scheduling for hours and hours, but that's the short version of scheduling. A critical position. We need to get that filled. Sorry, Chris, didn't mean to fake you out there. The equipment manager takes care of our equipment, all of our league-owned equipment, our catcher's gear, softballs, helmets, and so forth. Manage the replacement and repair of equipment, kind of keeping an eye on things, keeping an inventory, assist with the purchase and distribution of team required supplies, the ice packs, the softballs, the gear bags, and so forth. Deliver the equipment from the storage unit to the teams at the beginning of the season and pick it up at the end. Usually takes a couple hours at the beginning for a pickup and a couple hours at the end for a drop off, less than an hour a week as the season rolls. Essentially, we need someone to keep track of where everything is. It's not difficult, but it is important. It is helpful if this volunteer owns a truck or a van to haul the gear bags around at the beginning and end of the season, but that's not a deal breaker. Plenty of us own trucks, and you'll find someone to help you out. All right, concessions manager or the snack shack coordinator. So two big things. The first responsibility, well, I was talking about this the other day. This person runs the snack shack. It can be as awesome, as complicated as you like, or as simple as you like. But we need someone to coordinate it. The two big things are purchasing the inventory for the Snack Shack. And of course, we will reimburse you for that or give you the league credit card. We're not going to ask you to donate, food to the league. We take care of that. And manage the Snack Shack volunteer schedules, including the opening and closing on each game day. Typically takes 2 to 4 hours a week to start, and then a little bit less than an hour after schedule. The biggest thing here is it's a schedule job, right? We need someone to coordinate, find the volunteers, and coordinate the folks that are going to run the Snack Shack. You may have noticed in the past couple of weeks, the Snack Shack has been closed during some ball games, and that's simply because there hasn't been anybody available or anybody who stepped up to volunteer to run it. That's all there is to it. We're really hoping, I'm really hoping as an umpire, because that's where I eat on game day, that we get back to hot food next year. So you can learn how to work the hot dog machine and the coffee maker and all the good stuff. Really important though that we have someone who can schedule and coordinate volunteers for our Snack Shack. Okay, security officer. The biggest thing that the security officer needs to do is manage the background checks of volunteers to our league. Little League International requires that every adult who comes in contact with a player, from assistant coach to umpire to managers to board members, any adult, anyone who 18 or over, any adult who is in regular contact with the players needs to have a background check. It's not hard. The league covers the cost, but we need someone to coordinate that. Make sure that, it's essentially keeping a list, getting the forms back in, and hounding the people that haven't turned them in. Managing any security incidents that occur during the season. That's an overly broad statement. We're not going to, the security officer's job isn't to break up fights, or not that we've ever had one. That isn't their job, but we obviously would back you up there. The big thing on security officer is to make sure that the background checks are completed and keeping an eye on who's volunteering our league. Skills needed, if you have a background in law enforcement of any kind, that's great, but it's absolutely not required. You do need to be able to maintain strict confidentiality because you have access to a lot of obviously confidential information. But this is a position that Little League International requires, and we do need someone to take care of that. Fundraising. So fundraising for our league has been a little odd for the past few years. That is to say, we really haven't had it between COVID and just between everything for the past 2.5 years. Typically, our league runs a big fundraiser every year. We usually do a bat-a-thon, but a large one-day event. And we need someone who can run that. We need someone who can coordinate it. And I'm going to stop here for a moment and say all these positions, you are not expected to do everything yourself. There are people that will help you get the job done. And fundraising is one of these. But we need someone to manage and run our annual fundraiser. Usually takes less than an hour a week while things are getting registered, but takes more time, obviously, as we get closer to the fundraiser. The good news is once the fundraiser is over, you're done. We typically do a one-day bat-a-thon, which there's some paperwork involved, but we need someone to take care of that because we are going to get to the point now where we need to actively fundraise again. We fundraised for many years. We got those awesome lights up. We got the fence up. The field looks amazing. We've got a killer lawnmower. We've got a lot of great stuff, but we have been spending, and we need to start raising money so that we can continue to improve our facilities and cover the other expenses that go with the league. Not the least of which is keeping registrations costs low so that as many girls as possible can play softball. Next. Okay, the information officer, currently handled by the fabulous Melanie Shipley, managed league-wide communications. That's what this is all about. This is about getting what's going on at the board out to all the parents and players and coaches. That's I guess the easy part. The challenging part to this position is monitoring and responding to league info mailbox. So you're all the mail that goes to info@pwcgsll.org, all those questions, all those comments, all the stuff that goes in there, you're gonna monitor that. It's the kind of thing where if you know the answer, you can answer those questions. And if you need to defer, you can defer, and the board can get back to and make sure those things are handled. But the information officer is the person that controls the flow of info to and from the board to the parents and the players. Not too much time involved here, 1 or 2 hours a week. But obviously good written communication skills, general knowledge of how the league operates is helpful. Spiritware coordinator, this is a pretty easy gig. Manages the league spiritware that we sell through the Snack Shack. We haven't ordered some for a couple years because everything over the past couple years. Less than an hour a week. We work on, what are we going to order? What kind of designs are we going to have? What kind of quantities? It's just a fun, easy way to get involved with the league, and everyone likes wearing the sweatshirts. So there's that. The photography director, your job is to take pictures of all, no, I'm kidding. We always want to have league pictures, right? Everyone wants team pictures. The photography director is the person that coordinates that. Once we select a vendor, the board usually does the vendor selection. It's this person's job to coordinate with the photographer, times, locations, set up the schedule, working with the scheduler to make sure that it all goes smoothly. This takes a little more time. Again, before the photos happen, it takes a little bit more time because you're coordinating with a few different things. You're coordinating with the scheduler, you're coordinating with the coaches, you're finding a space, and you're getting all those details hammered out. It's a full day on picture day, obviously, because we're going to ask that you be there to run that. But once the pictures are done, you're pretty much done. If you're used to doing B2B type stuff, if you're used to dealing with vendors, this is a great place to be in. Not very difficult to do, but important to everybody in the league because everyone wants pictures of their kiddos. And this is the person that helps get that done. The marketing coordinator, this person's job is to advertise the league. We've done a lot of this on social media. So if you're a social media marketer, this is a perfect fit for you. We don't do too much print. We used to, but sometimes we get flyers out into schools to advertise the league, spring and fall season. The marketing coordinator is in charge of designing that and handling that schedule. I would say 90% of this is social media marketing. So if you are the kind of person that totally digs Facebook advertising and Twitter advertising, this is the job for you. We do have budget for this, so we're not just relying on posts, on free posts. We're talking about paid posts and so forth. So if you're that person, we'd love to have you. Near to my heart. Okay, so I am the chief umpire for the league, and so I'm going to talk a little bit about this. So I will beg your indulgence. And looking at the count, no one has logged off yet, so that's a good sign. Here's the deal with umpires, guys and girls and players. We need adult volunteer umpires. Right now in our league, we have 4 adult volunteers, and none of us have a player that's active in the league, just for what that's worth. I do see the emails that from various folks complaining about the quality, complaining about this, and that's fair. That's all warranted. But we need you to step up and help fill that role. I'll just my personal story. My first year in the league, we watched ball games. I wasn't satisfied with what I saw. So when the call went out, I was like, yeah, I know the rules. Let me jump in. And turns out I knew most of the rules, but not all of them. And it's been quite a journey. I've really dug it. You see all the girls play. I've actually umpired up as high as the state and the regional level. So that doesn't mean you have to take it that far. You can stay right here in our local league. The duties, there's 2 big ones. Obviously, we would need you to umpire softball games and willing to train and learn the rules. So this position is absolutely perfect for the parent who is already a baseball or softball fan and knows the rules of the game. As well, and I want to caveat that, as well as any TV fan knows the rules of the game. That's a great place to start. You'd have to come to some training, and I typically do probably 6 hours of training in an entire season. I'll do more if you want it, but I try and keep the commitment low so we can learn the rules, learn the positioning, and learn how to call a game well and professionally, because that's what everyone likes, right? Everyone likes to come to a game where we've got 2 uniformed umpires who knows what's going on. And I know we're not doing that at every game right now. So that's obviously the goal. Just to give you an idea of the need, this fall, we had 83 games that I would typically put umpires on. With 2 umpires per game, that's 166 umpires. Did I do that right? 166 umpires. slots to fill. In the springtime, it's more. We usually have 120 games or so. So that's 240 slots that we need to fill. So I'm going to ask you to commit to a half-day training prior to the start of the season so that you can learn. I like folks to commit to 1 or 2 games per week. Love you to do a game on Saturday and a game during the week, but if you can't, that's cool. 1 game. If we get enough volunteers, 1 game a week or less, we'll cover it. I'm going to schedule it based on your availability. In fact, the way we do the scheduling, it's an Excel sign up where you go in and select the games that you need or that fit your schedule. You are not going to get a schedule mailed to you with assignments that you then have to work around. I'm going to let you work my schedule around yours. You're not required at all hands events or at board meetings. This is just an umpire position. I don't know quite what else to say except that we really need more adults to volunteer for this. It's a lot of fun. You'll learn more about the game than you ever thought you needed to know. You'll be the one that people talk to at dinner about what an infield fly rule is. I know it's exciting stuff. But again, in fact, I just got an email across the thing today at the info officer talking about, we had coaches and parents umpiring, and I'm like, I know, I need you to volunteer. So if you're a parent and you're one of those parents that got pulled out of the stands to umpire a game this year and felt like you were just thrown into the shark tank and didn't know which way to go, please, please, please submit your name and email when we ask for those volunteers, and I'll make sure you know what you're doing next time you step on the diamond. It's obviously, this is my thing. It's important. By Little League rule, you have to have an umpire for a game to count. And I guess that's it. So hear me when I tell you, we need you.
Hey, Chris, while you're on the category, we had a couple people asking about teen umpires. Could you just touch base upon that real quick for me?
So youth umpires, we would like to get every year, we try to get a group of youth umpires going. This year we have 2. Again, would like to have more. The league does pay youth umpires as a way to incentivize them and a way to help them give back to the league. We do not pay volunteer adults. We only pay our youth umpires. So again, if you have a youth who's interested in getting into this, we'd love to have them. We'll train them up. We'll get them out there. And truthfully, guys, I know there's been some stuff about assignments, right? When I assign umpires, all 4 of us, I have to go to the older girls first. The seniors level moves very quickly, moves very fast. We need to have adults who know how to umpire a game on a seniors game and then on a majors game. And then on a minors game, the action is slow enough that it's a great place for someone who's learning how to umpire to do it. Which is why you usually see the adults on the seniors and majors and the teens on the majors and minors. My goal, guys, I would absolutely love to have an adult and a youth on every game. I would love to have a 2-man crew consisting of an adult and a youth on every game. And if you haven't seen a game called by 2 youth umpires with minor softball playing, it's a thing of beauty. It's just so much fun to see no adults on the field and the girls just taking care of themselves. So, but folks, right now it's a numbers game. We need the numbers. I simply don't have the numbers in my umpire stable to adequately cover the games in a manner that I know all of you as parents would like to see. If I could get one per team, that would give me 20 more adults. If I could get 2 per team, that would give me 40 adults, and we could cover everything. And that's anything else? Any other questions? Because umpiring is always a hot topic. Does anything else come in about that?
Two other questions. What's the minimum age for a teen umpire?
Okay, minimum age. The reason I'm kind of rolling my eyes here is because it depends. I like to have certainly no younger than 14. I would prefer 16 and up, but if I get a 14 or a 15-year-old who is willing to learn, has good positioning, is ready to go do it, I'm happy to have them. I'm absolutely, here's what I need from all my youth umpires. If you're interested in doing it, you got to commit to it. It's something you gotta say, okay, I'm gonna do this. It's a part-time job for our teens, so I need that kind of commitment. Commitment to the training, commitment to learning the rules, commitment to wearing the uniform properly, commitment to everything. Of course, I would like that out of my adults also. But so to answer your question directly, Mel, I've had them as young as 14, but it's strictly a maturity and ability sort of thing. You know, I've had 14s that I wouldn't want to do it, and I've had 17-year-olds that I don't want out there. And I've had 14-year-olds that are amazing. And I've had 18-year-olds that are, you know, so it's like we need folks to commit to it.
So a follow-up question to that, what if somebody has a brother or a 16, 17-year-old boy who plays baseball?
Yep.
Would they be able to umpire, and would you work with them on their own big game schedule to make sure they avoid any conflicts?
Absolutely. They would need to come to the training. Obviously, none of this happens without training. You have to get trained up. You got to read the book, and you got to take the time to learn how to do the mechanics and the positioning. But then, as I mentioned earlier, when the game schedule comes out, I allow you guys, the umpires, to select your own games. Now, after that happens, I will sometimes go back in and adjust it to make sure everything fits like it needs to. But if we have a brother, 17-year-old baseball player who has a high school baseball schedule and a travel ball schedule to work around, and maybe they can only do a game every other week, totally fine. Just make them awesome games every other week. That's all we ask. Anything else?
That's all that's come through so far. Thank you.
Don't worry, there'll be more. So umpiring, it's a hot topic. Let's see, we talked about Snack Shack earlier. So that looks like a duplicate slide. Awesome.
Now, this is for people to volunteer to work the Snack Shack, not be the Snack Shack
volunteers.
coordinator.
So the Snack Shack coordinator calls you. This is where we need you. Dudes, ladies, this is easy. This is great. You get to stand inside, the ceiling fans blow, you got food in there, and you get to sell food all day long. It's not hard. We have an iPad, so it's all on a cash register. We can take credit cards. We ask you to do a 2 or 4 hour block on a Saturday. The games at Tyler are 9:30, 9, 11:30, and 2. So we have ball games on a weekend from 9 in the morning till about 4. You don't have to go out there all day. You know, a block of 4 hours would be fine. But I'll tell you what happens every time I do it. I end up just standing out there all day, because you have a great view. You can look down the hill, you can see the ball field, and you're in the shade, and we got the music playing. It's a great way to spend a sunny Saturday. So, and it hardly qualifies as work. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Chris. That's all the that's all the positions we want to go over. I will say before we jump into questions, so any board position that anybody has, the way we operate as a board is that we meet once a month. It's generally the first Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. They've all been virtual for a while, but we're itching to try to get back in. Usually it's that Haymarket Church that's right there, right in the dead center of downtown Haymarket there. But that's what, we meet. It's usually like 7 to 8:30, 9 o'clock or so, like I said, once a month. And then we do ask that any board members make themselves available for a couple all hands events. Those are things like the skills assessment at the beginning of the year, opening day on, opening day, the first day of the spring, first game day of the spring. And a couple, if we are having a fundraiser, then the fundraiser as well. But that's really it, in terms of the other time commitments that you saw in some of those open positions. It's just that one, that first Wednesday of the month, 7 to 9 o'clock, and then those couple all hands events that we do. And so, really, again, as we talked about, the more folks we get contributing, the easier it is for everybody. And it really does make, everybody's good people. We have, folks from all different backgrounds, folks that bring all different skill sets to the board. And it's really nice to kind of come together, as a community and, and know that you're helping the girls. A lot of folks, myself included, a lot of the board members that you heard tonight, we don't have daughters in the leagues anymore. My daughter plays for Battlefield. She doesn't play in Little League anymore, but, it was such a big deal to our family. She was playing in the league at 7 years old, all the way up to about 14 till she went into high school. And it was such a, important thing for our family that, we wanted to make sure that we're continuing to pay it back, be here and try to grow this league and try to offer that, great community spirit that we had, back, 7-8 years ago when she joined the league. So, again, any questions now? That was the presentation. That was the information we wanted to provide anybody. But we're here. Any questions anybody has, either want to come off through Zoom or on the chat box.
So Chris, before we open it up for people to unmute, I did have a couple other questions. I saw that you did answer the Snack Shack one. So if somebody is willing to help with Snack Shack, on that front, absolutely don't expect you to work every Saturday all day long. We have volunteers. We often have teenagers who are come that need hours for their National Honor Society type of things. We have some teams that help, and we generally try and ask each team in the league to have a Saturday where members of their parents and the kids volunteer. So a lot of different opportunities for multiple people to help with the snack shack. I had someone ask if there's 2 people who want to help with the snack shack, is that possible as well, so that you kind of have a backup? Absolutely. You're looking to share a responsibility. Snack shack's a great way to do that, because it can be multiple people who help coordinate it, multiple people who help make sure the inventory is up to date. So that is a possibility as well. The other question, I'm going to direct this one to Chris Davis. How do you teach the coaches about the rule book, and are there particular meetings that help the coaches understand the rules?
So that's a great question. For the past couple, we've kind of gotten, here's the problem with teaching about the rules. It can take forever. My first rule book clinic I went to was 16 hours. That's how long, because we went through rule by rule. This was a clinic for umpires, and it took 16 hours for 2 days for us to go through the rule book. That's a long time, right? So we can't do that. What we've done the past couple of years is at the coaches meeting, we pass out the rule books, and I give a very brief presentation, usually end up being about 90 minutes, of the highlights of the rules, the ones that come up every week, the ones that call, I don't instruct folks on 3 strikes as an out, because and 3 outs as an inning. We all know that. We talk about some of the stuff that maybe people don't know. One of my challenges is, like I said, we could talk about rules for hours and hours and hours. And so my challenge is to distill that down to a small enough block that coaches can actually fit it in. So what we've done over the past couple of years is we do it at the coaches meeting. I've done it online a few times, done some rules clinics online. There is a video on our website of me doing the clinic. It's a few years old, so I don't think any of it's out of date though. That is on our website under the videos portion. What I ask of my coaches is you get a rule book, and the portion, the game rules takes about 30 to 45 minutes to read. And that's what I need you to do, is that, anyone that's remotely interested, anyone connected to the game on the field, whether it's a coach or an assistant coach or an umpire, or frankly, the players, if they're old enough, needs to read the rules and needs to know it. And then I am happy, thrilled, in fact, to chat with coaches. I've taken phone calls, I've done it by email, I've done it by Zoom, and clear up those questions that we had. Just this past week, we had a girl awarded home because of an obstruction call at third base, and I would wager 70% of the people in the stands didn't know what happened. So we had a chat with the coaches and explained what happened and so forth. And it's one of those obscure things that kind of, when it happens, oh my gosh, what happened? And we need to educate our coaches and our players, and by extension, our parents, on this. So Mel, I hope that answered your question. The short version is we do a couple of clinics, and I'm available to our coaches throughout the season to address those questions as they come up.
Yeah, I think that addressed it. Thank you. So I will continue to monitor the chat, but at this time, if anybody wants to come off mute, if you have questions you'd like to address verbally, you can do that. I'm still answering questions in the chat as well for those who are putting them into the chat. But does anybody out there have questions you'd like to address?
Just this is Christy. Just one more little tidbit is that I'll put this PowerPoint presentation on the website. We'll also try to have a video of some of this conversation in the PowerPoint as well. You can go on the website and see that the board is listed under the About section of the website, so you can see the different positions. And under the document section of the in the About, the important documents are the website. There's a document a Word doc you can download that actually has a description of every position. So if you guys do want to do some more digging into that on your own, that website's there and has a lot of information you can dig through.
Hey guys, it's Steve Vaughn, the coach of the Inferno. Sorry I was late to the game. We had practice tonight. Are we voting on board members tonight, or is it something that we got? Is it like a write-in ballot? I didn't know.
No,
how-
no, there's the annual meeting's on November 10th. So we'll have a bunch more emails that go out to full league wide that will advertise that. It's November 10th, so yeah, I think 2 weeks from today.
Okay.
Out in Tyler. So that's when we'll be doing all the the elections and everything.
All right, cool. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Stephen.
I had a question come through in regards to maybe offering a bigger, more exciting opening day. I know our past 2 years have been completely wrecked by COVID and have just really not been a possibility, but we've had some big opening days in the past. We've had some college players come. We've had some community members. We've had inflatables, and we do try and make it an exciting event. Those on the board all have input on how to best make opening day. We usually try and do it based on a theme. In the past, we've done Play Like a Girl. The other themes have completely escaped me, so I apologize. But if you have a good idea, if you have a theme, we are always looking for all that to really make the opening day exciting and enjoyable for our girls. It's the first chance they have to really start off the season, and we do our best to make it exciting for them and really start it off the right way. So any board members or even participants that have ideas, we welcome them.
So can I speak to that, Melanie?
Sure.
So that's opening day has probably been our most disappointing thing that we've had to endure through COVID, with the restrictions that were in place in all the different jurisdictions about community gatherings and stuff. There's nothing more exciting. I mean, we had a girl from Team USA out here throw out the first pitch. We're in negotiations. I'm personally to find somebody who played for JMU last year to come out and throw out the first pitch for us. So we want to do stuff, and that is absolutely, if we are not held back by the state of Virginia or the county or the school system, we absolutely will have an awesome opening day moving forward.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of a passion of mine. I love that opening day. When we get the especially the last couple have been, I think, pretty big and nice. We have big inflatables out. We have face painters. We have music going out there. We announcing ball games. It's really is a fun time. And as Ralph said, that's the thing. Yeah, that's one of the things that we just couldn't do with COVID. Getting 300, 500 people, whatever it is, together on the field. That just from a safety aspect, that just didn't feel like the right thing to do. But we're all itching to get back to that and to have a big opening day as soon as we can.
And I'll just add 10 more seconds. We had Screech out there a few years ago from the Nationals, which was awesome because who doesn't like Screech? And, my whole mission with opening day, what I always want to see with opening day is us as a board we can put together is a day where we have lots of stuff for everyone to do. And we typically have 3 games on that majors field. And my goal is to have folks come out at 9 o'clock and spend the day watching softball and eating hot dogs and playing on the slides. And oh my gosh, it's already 3:30 and we have to go home. So it's a great question. Whoever sent that in the chat, it's awesome. And we all like to have a great big opening day party in the spring if we can pull it off. So.
But with a big opening day comes a lot of volunteer opportunities. So a small group can't pull off a spectacular opening day. It takes hands, it takes, people helping to coordinate. So the more people we have to assist with that, the better the opening day can be, which again is one of the reasons we're here kind of soliciting some assistance, right? So I have been part of the board for 6 years. I will tell you that there are some amazing people on this board who will work hard and make sure that the league is running well, and we have enough coaches and we have enough teams to accommodate every girl who wants to play softball. It's been an amazing time on the board. Just because some of our board members are walking away because of children no longer in the league, we are still available for questions. We're still available to help out. We still want to see the league grow. So hopefully you guys can think about some positions you're interested in.
All right.
Question that came through. I'm sorry, Ralph, go ahead.
No, go ahead and read it because I just saw it.
Oh, okay. There's a question that came through about holding some clinics or camps to help girls and coaches both learn drills and pitching and that sort of thing. So do we have any thoughts on, I know we have in the past, but Ralph, I'll let you kind of address the clinics and camps in the off season.
So we're currently in negotiations with 643, the training facility out here in Manassas, to actually put on clinics for us. We can either do them at their facility as a paid thing or have them out here do it as a weekly thing that can be exclusive to the girls. We're also working on something that is actually a coaches clinic to help the coaches have some drills that professional trainers use to help their girls get better. So we will have something for the spring. In the past, we've done it internally, but we've got this huge resource out there now that we're going to absolutely take a hold of. So we will have stuff moving forward, and we may talk to them where we open it up for exclusively PWC girls for February stuff, where they do it and we just advertise it to our girls, and whatever their charge is for, a 3-hour clinic. And so we're working on that. We'll have more details, but the big thing is if the kids sign up and it's worth it to them, then it'll be worth it to us. So absolutely, we're doing that.
Hey, Ralph, you might want to explain 643 real quick. Not everybody might know what that is.
So anybody here that's on the phone, 643 is a indoor training facility exclusively for softball in Manassas. They have, at the Manassas location, I believe they have 12 specific trainers. This indoor building has 13 pitching lanes that they can actually open up and to make into larger spaces that they can accommodate these training things. They have the ability for you to do individual training, which anybody can sign up. I believe it's $29 a month. You can go as much as you want during that month. And then they have different stuff moving forward, but it's exclusively softball, no baseball, no boys. It's actually very, very cool. And if you have a teenage daughter that's 16 years old that can't sleep at 2 o'clock in the morning and you trust her, she can actually put in her time, get her code, and at 2 o'clock in the morning, go up and hit off the pitching machine in a lane, because it's a 24/7 operation, fully secured, and it's video monitored 24/7.
So Ralph, we had a question come through on if coaches can assist or hold clinics as well.
Absolutely. I mean, just approach and let's figure it out. I mean, if we have volunteers, I'd love to talk, and let's sit and vet and make sure we're doing it the right way, and we're offering it to the people. So absolutely, coaches can do that if they have the expertise.
And I think the key might also be to make sure that we're holding it in a place we have permits and the availability to do so, right?
Right. So anything that we do in a league-wide event has to be held at a event that is approved, that we've put into our safety plan. That's part of us doing the vetting on the property to make sure it's safe. So we can't do stuff in people's backyards at their house and have it be a legal Little League event, because insurance will not cover it. So we have a handful of events. I mean, 643 is on there as an approved venue. Battlefield Sportsplex is on there as an approved venue. A number of the fields in the area. So all the fields here at Tyler, the field at Bristow Run, the fields that are being torn down at QBE, Cat Harpin Park, and then all of the fields where we actually go when we do interleague play with some of the other leagues are also approved fields. But it has to be at an approved facility, or Little League insurance will not cover it, which means as a board, we cannot sanction that event.
Thanks, Ralph. I know we're coming up at 8:01 at this point, but I know people need to go. I understand that it is getting late. We do have a couple other questions I want to address, but before we do, if you have interest in volunteering, if you have questions on positions, please email us at info@pwcgsll.org. It'll help us if we have an understanding of how many people are interested in different positions. We can talk through those positions with you. And then when it comes to November 10th, we ensure everybody is there at the meeting. If you can't make the meeting November 10th, we can still allow for you to be voted on. We would just have somebody who recommends you for the position, and then we can still vote on you for the position. So if you can't attend the meeting, it doesn't mean you can't volunteer. Just send us an email and let us know. So I have a couple other questions that have popped up. One of them is an idea, can we raise money for more clinics, maybe charge a fee for those clinics? Ralph, what's your thoughts on that? You're on mute.
In theory, we could, but at the same time, if we did charge a fee, then the fee would go exclusively to the coaches. I mean, exclusively back to the league. It couldn't be for profit for the coach. I think that in a lot of cases, we do better if we rely on our professionals to do the paid stuff. And then as a league, if we put stuff off, that anything that we can put off to our patrons that we're doing that's free adds value. And that's what makes us stand apart. So, I mean, we're only officially allowed to have one fundraiser a year. And you know what I mean?
Yeah, this is Chris. I'll just say as the treasurer here, money's not necessarily the problem on running a clinic. Like, if we had some professional instructors we wanted to bring in, it's not that the money's not there. That the league is big enough where we have options. We can pick and choose what we want to do with the funds that we raise. The big thing really is organizing it. It's getting somebody to organize it, put the message out, talk to the instructors, figure out how it's going to work, talk to the coaches. So again, it really just becomes more of that volunteering aspect, much more than a funding aspect in terms of running a clinic like that.
And I think part of the recommendation there was maybe do it as a fundraiser and open it up to, to everybody. I think that was one of the suggestions. So, Chris, there is a question out here in regards to one of the rookie rules. I don't know if you've had a chance to read it or if you can address that.
Yeah,
or if you can address that individually.
I took a look. Let me just take a look here again, because I think it's multiple base. Okay, so the question is briefly, can we change local rules and rookies to allow batters to run multiple bases? I saw that in the chat, and I went and dug up the local rules, and it's not addressed in our local rules. There is nothing in our local rules that says runners can't run more than one base on a base hit. And I must admit, I don't spend much time on the rookies diamonds. I'm usually on the majors and seniors diamonds. So I don't know. However, this is something we can every spring, we redraft the local rules. We get input from coaches. We talk about this sort of thing. If this is something that we need to make sure is specifically enumerated, we can. Any rules discussion has the potential to last 90 minutes and go right down a rabbit hole. So I will tell you that I read the question. It makes sense to me. And the answer is, when we start setting up spring 2022, we would need to chat with coaches and get some input on whether or not the local rules need to be changed. But the way the rules are written now, runners may run more than one base in all levels of softball, with the exception of stealing in minors. That's another thing. But on a base hit, they can run according to our rules. So, but it sounds like something we need to talk about. So we will make sure to address that going into the 2022 season. And the last thing I'm going to do is dive in with a week and a half left in the season and tell rookies coaches to change their methods right now. So thanks for the question. This sounds like a great opportunity for you to volunteer and give us some input, and we'll work on it in the spring.
Are there any other questions out there either that you want to unmute or put in the chat? I think we've addressed majority of them. I know there was a suggestion maybe that we add a skills clinic member spot or board spot. So that's a suggestion that we will take forward as well. Just because someone doesn't have that title doesn't mean that they can't volunteer as part of the board and help in other areas and then also cover the clinic. So that's all. They're another great opportunity there. But any other questions before we wrap it up for this evening? Ralph, any final thoughts there before we close down?
Now, so on a final note, I should want to thank each and every one of you guys for getting on here and at least showing some interest in helping. We want to provide the best experience possible for all of our girls. I'm one of the ones that hasn't had a girl in the league since she was 12. She's 19 now, and I've been president for 10 years. So, but I don't want to go anywhere because we've seen, there's nothing that beats the look on a young lady's face when she's smiling the first time she walks on the field and makes a great play, or at opening day when you see the 4 and 5 year olds running out there as there's just, we do nothing but provide opportunity for the young ladies in the county, and we want to continue that, and we want it to be in an excellent way. So that's why we need help. We need more help so that we don't have lulls. Pandemic has disappointed everybody. We want to hit the ground running because we're hoping in spring that that's all gone. And to do that, we're going to need everybody's help. So with that said, I think we appreciate each and every one of you. And I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, and as does everyone else on the existing board. Thanks for hearing us, and we hope to see you on the 10th at Tyler.